Hi everyone, once again, my name is Jesslyn from the Courage chapter. Together with me, we have Kaining, here also the co-founder of the Courage chapter. And for today's webinar, we'll be talking about building your LinkedIn brand and unlocking your next chapter. So before the session, I think a lot of you filled in questions about some of your burning questions about what you want to see for this webinar session. So we'll get them covered during the session as well. So we have Bert, the co-founder of Career Socials, also the Total Rewards Leads of Gleans, being in the session. We also have Michelle, who's a talent consultant at Connect One. I mean, they will be doing their own self-introduction later. So moving on to the next slide. For any questions, if you're uncomfortable and all, if you're uncomfortable leaving your name, feel free to raise your anonymous questions on pigeonhole.at, or you can scan the QR code and enter the passcode Courage. All right, just a very quick introduction in case some of you here are new, don't know what the Courage chapter does, right? So the Courage chapter actually just started in November last year, and it is co-founded by both Kaining and I. Both of us, we are in the social entrepreneurship space. We are also both in the HR background, with Kaining more in the external recruitment and internal HR practices, and myself would be more on the comm and ben background. Kaining, with that, do you want to do a little bit more of a introduction on yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our second Courage Cafe. Yeah, so my name is Kaining. Oh, I see somebody annotating on our screen. Yeah, so my name is Kaining. I used to be a global HR business partner with an FMCG company. Worked there for 4 different roles and decided to take a leap of faith to start a social venture with Jesslyn to help the senior professionals to transition to their second chapter through meaningful projects with companies. I think some of you may know us, some of you don't. I think throughout today, we hope that you will get to know us a bit better. Happy to stay back later for any questions that you have as well.
Right. And I think also stemming from the background of both of us in HR, right, is one of the main concerns is the uncertainty surrounding where older workers fit into society as we transition into what is traditionally labeled as retirement. So the thing here at Courage Chapter is that we strongly advocate for a more dignified and a more purposeful continuation of their careers, which leads us to why we started the Courage Chapter on the next slide. So we help senior PMEs transition to their second chapter through meaningful projects with companies, leveraging their expertise for greater business impact. Why do we say so, right? So we are matching those needs and wants. So typically at that life stage, right, they'll be looking for a more flexible schedule. So would be more of jobs with short-term contracts, fractional jobs or part-time jobs for 3 times a week, and also because they want to have more time for family and hobbies. At that life stage also, there would be more emphasis on getting not just for financial purposes, but also how meaningful these projects are. And the idea of meaningful, not just for working for non-profit, but also to share knowledge, to mentor younger professionals, to stay connected to society, and of course to stay mentally and physically active. And that being said, of course, there's also a side income source as well from the project fees that the Courage chapter works with the company to do the matching. Okay, and then the next slide would be, yes, this is a little bit about what we do. We match business and seniors needs across different talent pillars. So we have 3 major talent pillars that you just have to look out for would be the contract gigs, the consultancy on demand, as well as the impact gigs. And more from the B2B side of things, we do transition consultancy for companies. And to move on, so we have some success stories over here where we have worked with companies like Unilever, Hoya, and Paradigm, Apex Secretariat. So we offer consultancies, operationals across MNC startups and charities. And these are the various roles and projects that we've filled so far. And with that, I really want to shout out that remember to join the Courage Chapter community if you haven't. Do scan the QR code. We'll be sharing this link later in the description box as well. And without further ado, let me share the airspace, the airtime with our guest speakers.
Okay, thank you so much, Jesslyn and Kaining. Allow me to share my screen, so I'll take it from here. Okay, hope you can see my screen. Okay, great. So welcome everyone. I think good evening to all of you. I understand this is probably after dinner hours. Hope you had your dinner as well. So my name is Bertrand from Career Associates. Today I'm joined by Michelle as well. I'll also hand over the time to her to do a quick self-introduction. So a little bit about myself. I'm actually a part of Career Associates, which is actually a Singapore-based social enterprise where we seek to maximize the career potential of job seekers. And primarily, we work closely with social organizations as well as tertiary institutions in Singapore to help equip our clients and beneficiaries to navigate their career journey. At the same time, I'm currently also the Total Rewards Lead at Glints, which is a Series D recruitment tech platform with presence in the Southeast Asia region. Yeah. So that's a bit about myself. Over to you, Michelle. Quick introduction of yourself as well.
Thanks, Bert. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle. I spent 25 years in growing businesses and marketing and doing business development across Asia Pacific and the Middle East for many MNCs. During COVID, I decided that it's time to start my second chapter, as Kaining says, and I've pivoted to helping startups build and retain their first and senior leadership teams. So I'm from Connect One, and with Connect One, if you come to our website later, you see that actually we've built the who's who of all the startups that are in your phone that you use, and some not so well known across Southeast Asia. And today, my intention, right, thanks to Kaining, Bert, and Jesslyn for inviting me, my intention is to share with you what recruiters do and how they think when they use LinkedIn Recruiter, so that when later on when Bert shares with you some of his tips, you'll see why he's asking you to do these things. All right, so without any further ado, I'll just pass this back to Bert. Over to you.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, Michelle. All right. So I think very exciting topic today on LinkedIn. And I suppose many of you have over time, built impressive careers throughout your journey, filled with different accomplishments, valuable expertise. Of course, I do understand some of you are maybe relatively early in your career as well. So definitely it's a journey that, we have to undertake together. And we would like to share a little bit more today on how you can actually leverage, LinkedIn, to build your online presence, right? As you continue to navigate your career journey as well as the next chapter of your life. Yeah, so today our aim is really to equip you with the tools and strategies to create a compelling LinkedIn profile. And we'll cover, things like crafting a powerful headline, personal summary, how can you optimize the experience section in the LinkedIn profile, leveraging some keywords to enhance your searchability by recruiters, which I think Michelle will share a little bit later on as well. We do understand that today there might be some of you who might be new, first time, looking or understanding what LinkedIn is. And perhaps maybe some of you haven't updated your LinkedIn profile as well in a long time. So don't worry. I think the content today is really designed for all levels. Whether you're new, you have been using LinkedIn for quite a while, we'll work through with you a very easy to understand step-by-step process that's clear and also easy to follow, right? So throughout the webinar today, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them into the pigeonhole, or you can also put them into the chat. We'll have a look towards the end. Yeah. Okay, so I have a very quick question that I want to pose, but just a quick summary, right? How powerful LinkedIn is in today's modern world. And I was just updating this slide, yesterday. Previously, I think when I last checked in 2023, if I'm not wrong, there were maybe around 800 plus million members on LinkedIn. And I was so surprised to see that today it's about 1 billion already. And that's a huge and massive number, right? How many people are actually present on this online professional network platform? Yeah. So maybe a quick question to everyone on the chat, and feel free to type your answers, right? How many people actually use LinkedIn to search for jobs each week? Yeah. So maybe you can type your answers into the chat just to get a quick sensing. Roughly, maybe you can guess quite accurately. Okay, I see 100 million. Okay, 10,000 or 100,000 from Kaining. 50 million from James. Okay. 200 million from Gina. Nice. Okay, so maybe I will just quickly review the answer. Some of you, I guess, are pretty close. It's actually around 65 million people, right? And that's definitely a great indicator of how many jobs listings there are on LinkedIn itself, where a lot of companies today are really using it across various countries globally, not just in Singapore. And that's definitely a good platform beyond some of the other, job search networks or online platforms that you see today. Yeah, so that's a very interesting statistic. Another question, maybe I'll just post in the chat and you can type your answers too. How many people are hired through LinkedIn every minute? 10,000. Wow, Diraj. That's a very optimistic number, but let's see what the others have to say as well. 200. Okay, 500. 2K. 2K. All right. 1K from Johan. Okay, so I think we have a very huge variety of answers on both ends of the spectrum. So just to review the answer, actually it's about 6 people. Okay, but to be honest, 6 people every minute, I guess you can do the math. That's pretty much a lot in one day itself, right? And just to share a little bit more, beyond Singapore and across, the other regions, there is hundreds of million actually of people present on LinkedIn, right? And within Asia Pacific itself, we have like close to 300 million plus already. And this number is actually rapidly rising, probably exceed 300 million by the end of this year. Like no doubt about it. Yeah. And of course, within Singapore itself, you can probably see that at least half of the population is already on LinkedIn. And that's also a good indicator and sign that if you're not on LinkedIn, probably you're kind of on the losing end, right? When it comes to opening your doors to various opportunities in terms of embarking on your next step of a career. Yeah. So that's a quick overview, right, in terms of the relevance of LinkedIn in today's professional world. And
But
yeah.
we have a question in the chat. So David is asking how many jobs posted on LinkedIn are genuine recruitment?
Right. So I think that's a good question. Maybe some of you have had experiences where when you start applying to some of the jobs on LinkedIn, you might not get a response, or maybe it sounds a bit iffy. Definitely, I think different companies will also use like different channels as well. LinkedIn being one of the key channels, I believe. But there are also definitely many other channels out there. But of course, I think how many jobs being posted, I would assume it's a good majority of them. Even myself, working at Gleans currently, I'm also using, LinkedIn to search for my next intern that will be joining my team. And that's definitely a good channel where I see a lot of good quality candidates coming through. Maybe it's a matter of whether some companies might respond to you in terms of like your job application. Not all the time, I would suppose, because most companies or recruiters essentially would focus on those that they want to filter to the next stage. Yeah. Not sure, Michelle, if you have any comments on your side.
I totally agree with you, Bert. Most of them are genuine, right? Because in order to post a job, you either have to have you pay a lot of money for a LinkedIn recruiter account, or you pay money to post the job ad. So it's not free, right? So it's genuine, and like Bert says, maybe you do not hear a response because you know there are many reasons. One is you didn't fit what they were looking for. But thank you for your really good question, David.
All right, thanks for the question. So I think we'll move on to the next section, right? How can you really leverage the power of LinkedIn? So I'll probably share a little bit more, right? And this is an example of a profile that we found on the internet, one of our acquaintance through our own network. And by and large, as you can see, it's somewhat of a snapshot of your resume, right? And I suppose most of you would have resumes that you keep on your computer or something. But what is the key difference? I think on LinkedIn itself is definitely a bit more dynamic, where you can show different visuals like your photo, a background cover. In terms of your work experience, you can add on different skill sets here and there, and it's structured in a very well formatted, kind of manner. At the same time, there's also media that you can add like pictures, videos, articles, etc. You can also show your interest in terms of like who you like to follow, etc. So many of these things, I think it's kind of enabled through the LinkedIn tool itself. So of course, I think when it comes to job opportunities and searchability for future opportunities down the road. In fact, as you may know, 90%, more than 90% of recruiters today actually do use LinkedIn to source and vet candidates. This may not be the case, I think, in some countries where there are maybe other more present kind of job platforms out there. But I think this is fairly relevant in the context of Singapore itself. And of course, I think credibility in terms of showing your own digital savviness, right? To use a online platform, build your online presence. It's not just about showing your resume. It's also an opportunity where you can also connect with others, network with others, demonstrate your thought leadership by posting articles, etc. Right? And of course, through this platform, since there's so many people out there, it's also a great platform for you to really build a wide and diverse network, not just with people within your own industry, which will of course make a lot of sense, but also with people across different industries where perhaps you might find a great opportunity down the road to open up a path that you may never expect, but who knows, right? You're able to connect the dots down the road. Yeah. And last but not least, of course, it's not just like a platform for you to showcase your personal brand, network with others. At the same time, you can also use it to search and apply for jobs. Yeah, and we'll share a little bit more in terms of how can you optimize your LinkedIn profile to make your brand presence a bit more prominent and also be more advantageous as compared to some other job applicants on the platform itself. Okay, so just now I mentioned the step-by-step process, right? So starting off with step one, I think this is perhaps more of a minor point, but it makes a little bit of a difference, right? In terms of how you position yourself. Something as simple as a URL or hyperlink for your own particular personal brand. So when you go about creating a LinkedIn profile, right, create an account, etc., usually by default, there will be a random string of numbers that are put at the back of your name. Let's say if you put your first name and your last name, there'll be some random numbers and letters generated. So by default, that is what LinkedIn will create for you. But how you can actually personalize it, I think that is a great tip, right? Most people would, of course, use like a combination of their first and last name and just strip away all the unnecessary numbers behind. And it's also easy for you to like share this with others. Let's say you meet someone at a networking event, you just want to quickly share with them your LinkedIn profile or something. It's very easy to let them know, go to linkedin.com/in/Rachel Tan, for example. And you don't have to bother about some of the other words behind. Yeah. Yeah, as you may be wondering, like, how can I go about doing so? Especially for those who are actually quite new to LinkedIn as a platform. So just a quick demo in terms of how this could be done, right? So let's say you have created a profile on LinkedIn. You have already listed down all your relevant sections. So on your own homepage itself, you will see on the top right that there's actually an option for you to edit your public profile and URL. So that's where you can click on the pen icon. And once you click on it, it'll bring you to another landing page where you will see over here how you can actually edit your custom URL. And of course, it is dependent on availability. Sometimes if your first name and last name is too common, then probably that will not be an available option. So unfortunately, you'll probably have to find a bit more creative ways as to how you would like to personalize it. And I guess a good alternative option would be maybe to use your full name. Yeah, that could be one way to do it if the first and last name is already taken. Yeah. So beyond that, I think one thing to also take note is it is good, of course, to always make sure your profile is made visible to the public, especially if you are an active job seeker, or let's say you really want to leverage LinkedIn to the best of its use, right? Make sure people can actually find you. So not sure what's the default setting in LinkedIn, but if you go inside under settings over here, you see that it's not really made public in terms of visibility wise. We would, of course, highly encourage you to turn it on essentially. Yeah. So that's one point to take note. Step one, very simple process in terms of the hyperlink. Okay, so next in terms of like your professional photo, right? Of course, I think on LinkedIn, most people, as you might have seen on the platform, would use a very professional photo of themselves. And definitely you want to present an image that is professional, and a high quality image would definitely be good, rather than a very low quality image, a bit blur, maybe you're not showing your full face, etc. So I think these are some of the things or standards to expect in terms of what kind of profile image you can upload on LinkedIn. But I think most importantly is to express yourself depending on how you want to position your personal brand, right? Some people may kind of have a very default professional image, suit and tie, whatsoever. Let's say it could be more relevant in certain industries, like banking or maybe frontline financial advisors, so on and so forth. But I think these days you can be a little bit more creative, right? Especially people who come from different backgrounds, how you like to position yourself. I think ultimately, that is really up to you. As long as you feel that how you're presenting yourself is the impression that you want to give others. I think that's more or less the rule of thumb in terms of what kind of professional profile image you want to upload. And something as simple as this, you don't really need to get like a high quality professional photographer to do it for you. Essentially, today's technology with your smartphone and all, you can easily use that to take a quick image of yourself, either get a friend or a family member to help you out. So that's something you can easily do up, and that's how I've done it for myself as well on LinkedIn. Yeah. So that's a little bit more on the professional photo. And next, just behind the professional photo, you will also see that there's an option for you to upload a background photo, right? And this is actually kind of an opportunity to showcase an image that represents who you are. Maybe it can be a symbolism of, what are your passions, what is your mission, what is your value proposition in terms of maybe your current line of work, your current industry. And over here, you can see a very brief example of benefits broker, which is a friend of mine, David. And it's very clear for him, just from the cover photo, how he flashes out some of his achievements in terms of the benefits brokerage space. And that really presents him as someone credible in the area. He's someone that he probably wants to showcase a bit of like trust and credibility to others, right? In terms of like his professionalism in the industry, and also what value can he offer to you in terms of like benefits brokerage. Yeah, so this is something to for you to consider, right? In terms of a background photo, it adds up to the overall image that you're trying to present yourself beyond just the profile image, right, on your landing page. Yeah. Okay, so up next in terms of the compelling headline, right? So over here on the example, you can see this person, Sam Neill. There is quite a lot of description actually that he has on his headline. And this, of course, differs from each individual, from one person to the other. You may not have many things that you're doing right now, and that's okay, right? I think what's more important is to uh kind of showcase what is your current perhaps line of work. Maybe it could be an example of your job title. Maybe it could be a mix of some of your highlighted skill sets or your personal mission, etc. But all these words that we add up to your headline also helps in terms of others trying to find professionals in your area. Let's say if they're looking for someone within the HR space. Like for example, myself, I'm specializing in total rewards, which is in compensation and benefits. So I could add some of these keywords onto my headline, and that will also help recruiters or even other professional like HR individuals to also find me whenever they want to look for someone to hire for their organization, so on and so forth, right? So that's more in terms of like what kind of stuff you can actually add to your headline itself. Maybe I'll pose a quick question as well to Michelle since we're on this page. How do you actually position yourself if you are looking to explore opportunities in your next chapter? Yeah.
Okay, so specifically, if you are going to be looking for opportunities in your next chapter, and your current employers are okay with that, just go ahead and include in your headline, open to opportunities in healthcare, and then put one of those lines and say go ahead and talk about the value you bring, right? You can be operations expert, or let me see, what else is there? Or training the next generation of pharmacists, for example. Okay, just put it in there. Don't be shy. Okay, if I don't know, I can't contact you. All right, if I have to wade through a lot of things, chances are I'm not going to. Right, just don't be shy. I know where agents are a little bit shy. Just tell me. All right, be upfront with me, and we will appreciate it.
Right. So I think that's definitely a great tip, Michelle. Thanks for sharing. Especially for those who are keen to pursue a particular area, right? Maybe it might not be something you have prior experience in. I think that's okay as well.
Yeah.
As long as you're really clear upfront what you're actually looking forward to pursue. I think that's important to kind of convey that message to people who are actually viewing your profile itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I've covered a bit on this pro tip. Okay, so next in terms of engaging personal summary. So basically this is about a sentence on what motivates you personally and professionally, of course. What you would actually like to convey in terms of like your passion, maybe a bit about what you do at your current company, some background in terms of like maybe your own professional career and your journey that you have been through. And last but not least, if there's any call to action, maybe you'd like to network with others, you might want other people to reach out to you. This is also a great opportunity for you to embed into your LinkedIn personal summary. So all in all, essentially, this is kind of like your 30-second elevator pitch. You want to keep it short and succinct. At the same time, you want to make sure that you have key relevant content, some of your highlighted unique value propositions that you really want to show. So this is a great opportunity for you to make use of this particular section within LinkedIn itself. So how does it actually look like, right? Just to show you a quick example, over here we have Sharon Yo, just another acquaintance of ours that we kind of use her profile for use of this webinar. And you can see that she has written quite a lot of stuff on a personal summary, right? And of course, I think more is always better in that sense. You let people know what exactly you stand for. And over here, I guess there is some level of structure that we can break it down. So at the top over here, where she talks about how she's a speaker and trainer in the area of well-being and health, for 13 years, etc. So that's a little bit more in terms of what is her current mission and her endeavors, right? Right. What is he actually doing right now in terms of purpose, whether it's personally or professionally? And then on the second one, how does she stand out amongst the rest in terms of her unique value proposition, right? So for her, she talks about like why there are certain kind of reasons that some of her clients that she work with continue to stay with her and continue to work with her. And that's something that she uses to truly differentiate herself from others, right? And then, of course, she goes on to share a little bit more about her own background and experience to establish a bit more credibility in terms of like what kind of services and kind of packaging that she's offering to others. And last but not least, at the bottom, since she's kind of like a entrepreneur in a sense, there is a call to action, right, where she actively wants others to reach out to her, assuming they are interested to engage her on a certain relevant topic where she has expertise in. Yeah, so this is a great example where you can also be inspired in terms of how you can actually craft a particular personal summary. And of course, it can be very different. There is no one way of doing it. But maybe I'll just take a pause here. I do have a question to Michelle as well. Have you seen any examples through your experience through your recruitment journey?
Okay, so I like to just say that this about space it's an opportunity for you to stand out. Okay, I've been through, must have been thousands of profiles, and very, very few actually were helpful to me in identifying the candidates I want. So most of the time, this area is underutilized because it is unclear what your positioning is. Sometimes people put everything, sometimes people put nothing. And then sometimes you put things like there's, could be more, but it could do with a bit of help. Okay, maybe if you can go on to the next slide, I'd like to show you an example. Okay, this is a real one that I came across, and I thought, wow, this is an opportunity for improvement here. Okay, so maybe if you can put into the chat box, right? What kind of job was this? This person at that point was open to work, right? Maybe you can tell me what kind of jobs he was looking and applying for. Okay, and since I mentioned open to work, please type into the box, right? What do you think this job is? And since I mentioned open to work, yes, please put open to work if you are really open to work, because I love it when I see that green box. It means this person is available. Because my clients, when you ask them, when do you want this role to start? It's always yesterday. So if you don't have to serve a notice period, that's fabulous. Okay, so I have confectioner, we have product development. Anybody, anything else? Yeah. So this was a person who was in the sales. He was a sales manager in F&B industry. He was selling, all the ingredients that go into making snacks and pastries and cakes. So I didn't know what to make of this. Did I contact him? No. Yeah, because and this is my thought process, okay? If you can't sell yourself well, then I'm not sure. I'm a little bit worried about how well you can sell on behalf of my client, especially if it's a sales role. Okay. All right. So Bert, you have you showed me something very interesting yesterday. So how can this be improved, right? If one way, of course, is to get your friends to take a look at your about, or especially if they're in HR or recruiting, right? And ask them, what job am I applying for here? You think, right? That's one way. But after that, what do you do, right? How do you improve it? Well, Bert has a shortcut for you.
Right. Thanks, Michelle, for sharing. So I think we have also received a question during the registration as well, right? And that's something that we thought would be a great opportunity to share today, right? And of course, when we talk about AI, I think that's something that many of you will be largely familiar with the likes of ChatGPT, Gemini, so on and so forth. And that is actually a great tool for you to also leverage in order to further refine your LinkedIn personal summary or your about section, right? And in most cases, there are many chatbots out there. I think just to use an example later, I'll do a quick demo using Gemini. So how can it actually help you? I think essentially, it can guide you step-by-step process. Let's say you ask them, I'm currently looking for a job. Can you guide me in terms of like what should I include in my personal summary on LinkedIn? Or if let's say you already have bits and pieces of information that you would like to input to provide and feed into the AI chatbot, then an example that you can see here using the sales role that Michelle was talking about earlier in the previous slide, you can actually craft out something like this, saying like, hey, I'm currently in the process of finding a new job as a head of sales, and I want to have a personal summary crafted. Can you help come up with a few options, right? Not just one option, based on a set number of words. And then here is the information that you want them to include on the chatbot, right? To help you craft the necessary details in the personal summary. So one thing that is great, I think, about some of these chatbots is that they're really good in helping you to craft a very polished and a well-structured summary, with, of course, I think professional quality as well. At the same time, you can also use it to like customize and generate like many different versions based on different kind of inputs that you feed into the chatbot itself. Yeah, so I think maybe just a quick one. I will just show you all one example over here. So let me pull out Gemini. Okay, and I'll copy paste the exact wording from just now, right? So over here, I'm currently in process of finding a new job, etc., etc. So I just submit, and let's see what kind of information Gemini provides over here. Okay, great. So you can see very quickly 4 examples with different approaches or themes in terms of how you can actually craft your own LinkedIn personal summary. Over here, there's an option of, let's say, maybe your unique value proposition is someone who is a very high achiever. Maybe this is one approach you may want to craft your LinkedIn personal summary. And then there's also an option of, let's say, you're someone who is an innovative driver in that sense. You may want to structure it accordingly like this. So by and large, these are some great examples. And of course, we do encourage you to use bits and pieces, whatever information you think is relevant, to actually craft and refine accordingly on your own. More or less, I think this is a great tool for you to gain some inspiration on how you can actually tailor your personal summary accordingly. And let's say if this is something that probably you think is not really what you're looking out for or expecting, maybe there are some other missing pieces of information that you'd like to have it embedded inside, then you can just modify the inputs into the chatbot, and it'll help you customize something a little bit more to your expectations. Yeah. So that's a quick example for the demo on Gemini itself. Yeah.
But do you mind scrolling to the top again to show what you keyed in?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So actually I key in, exactly what I written down on the slide just now. Basically, I'm trying to find a new job as a head of sales. And then I want, the chatbot to help me write a compelling and engaging LinkedIn summary, right? And then can you give me 4 options as well? With at least 150 words, etc. Based on this kind of bullet points information that I provided. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Is that clear? Yeah.
Yes. But maybe we take a quick check. There are some questions we have on the chat. Wonder whether you and Michelle want to take it now.
Sure. Yeah. What questions?
Okay. There's quite a few. David asked just now, how do recruiters feel that ATS is effectively helping them in shortlisting candidates from the sea of applicants? So essentially, how effective is ATS for recruiters?
Okay, so all right, maybe I'll start then, but you can jump in, right? The ATS, right, is an applicant tracking system, right? Really, for any job role that I put out, I get maybe 100 at least applicants, and not all of them are relevant. So the ATS is there to help me sieve out those people who do not meet criteria. Like for example, you're not eligible, for example, right? Not eligible to work in Singapore, right? You don't have, let me see, you don't have a CPA, Chartered Public Accountant certification, right? So all these things, some of the hard, most of the hard stuff, and some of the soft stuff, like, let's see, financial modeling or M&As, corporate finance, right? So these keywords must be there. So ATS helps me to pick up from the hundreds of applicants, maybe the top 10 or 20, right, depending how desperate I am, to go through. Right? It's just a way, it's an aid for me, right? And it's only as good as I know, right? I know sometimes, but the things I key in may limit, may push out some of the applicants. But honestly, that's why keywords are really important. Okay, because I wish I had time to go through the 100 applications, but I don't, right? And usually by the time the job requisition comes to me, it's already very, very late, and they're really, really desperate for somebody to start. Right? So I hope you understand. It's not that, I don't want to, I just don't have the time. So help me out with the keywords. But what do you
Thanks for sharing, Michelle. I think on my side, since I probably don't have that much experience leveraging ATS, yeah, so I probably won't share much comment here. Yeah.
The next question we have is, what if you are pursuing more than one role? Do you update your LinkedIn according to the seasonal role that you are looking for?
So in my opinion, just to take this question first, probably there would be one particular preference in terms of a role that you're really looking out for, versus some other options that you might be open to. So what, of course, I would personally recommend is to really tailor, let's say your headline, your summary, according to that one particular role you really want to land an opportunity in. And of course, if there are other roles you might be interested in, you can also embed it in by maybe adding some relevant skill sets in those areas. Or you can also briefly mention it in your about section as well, in case you are open to some of these other roles out there. Yeah. So that would be my quick take on this. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I can just add, if it's a seasonal type of role, like for example, you do you go in only during the high shopping season to help out in the fulfillment, right, or the operations, right? And you're looking for a role in full-time role in supply chain management, for example. Yes, by all means, put it in, right? But if you're going to move into finance, right, then you see, recruiters don't like blank spaces or missing time in CVs. So you could put something there, but you don't have to be very specific about what it is, right? You can lump it all together under contract work, right? And then you just then put out all some of the relevant skills that you have in that contract work, like attention to detail, able to work within a short time frame, or able to prioritize during a crisis, right? So focus more on the skills rather than what you were doing, right? I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. I think there. Okay, one more is, what if you are looking to upskill first? How do you go about presenting yourselves on LinkedIn if the person is focused on upskilling right now?
Right. So I think, I guess depending on your current situation, whether you're pursuing a further education, maybe you're taking up a certification midway, I think that's probably also good to already mention in your LinkedIn profile. Let's say you are currently attached to a particular educational institution, you're midway into the course, that's something you can already put on your LinkedIn profile, right? Similarly to how you would position this particular area of interest that you're pursuing on your resume as well. And of course, I think if you're also looking to land a position highly relevant to what you are currently learning and upskilling on, that's definitely a clear indicator or message you want to include in your headline. So people are kind of aware, in terms of like what kind of career opportunity you're looking forward to next in your career. Yeah.
If I can just jump in, I think what Bert says is very true. Go ahead and just say you're pursuing this certification, right, or upskilling in this area. What will also really help is if you indicate expected end date, so that I can roughly know whether you're almost at the end, and can I dovetail it with my hiring, right, for this role. So as much information as you can help me to make an informed decision, that will really, really be to your advantage.
Okay, thank you. I think David has one last question. If you are too specific in your about section, you will face problem when you're searching for various job scopes. Okay, then he said, do recruiters tally the applicant's resume with their LinkedIn profile? Is it important to include LinkedIn address in resume?
Maybe I'll start. Yes, I prefer if you give me your LinkedIn as well, so that anything that you're not able to fit into that 1 or 2 pages, I can go into LinkedIn and take a look, right? Especially if you have thought leadership, and if it's a senior position, I want to know your thought leadership. Okay, and I want to know who has given you recommendations, what they've said about you. Okay, so by all means, do give me your LinkedIn URL, and in your about, for your CV, your about can be changed according to the job description, right? That's suited for that particular role. In your LinkedIn, it should be something wide enough to cover all the bases, but yet specific enough to be of use to me. So, for example, you should say all the information should be there. Like, I'm a experienced sales, a person of professional in the IT SaaS space. I built successful sales team who have over delivered by X%. Right, and I'm all the other stuff that that Bert has shared.
Yeah. But no further comments on my side. Yeah, maybe we can move on.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so maybe we can continue with the slide first. We'll carry on with some Q&A later on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. I think thanks for all the questions. I think those are definitely great ones. So I think moving on to the next part in terms of like work experience, right? And this is really the main content, or I would say the meat of your LinkedIn profile itself. And by and large, the few things that you can cover beyond responsibilities, I think we always want to highlight what are some of the key achievements. Similarly, as well on resume, you apply the same kind of guideline and approach on your LinkedIn profile. And this is also a great opportunity to really showcase examples where you can add in like, images, hyperlinks, so on and so forth, whatever you really want to showcase that is kind of limited from a resume standpoint. You use that opportunity on your LinkedIn profile to do so. Yeah. So over here, just a very quick example again of the same profile we are looking at. So Sean here is a founder of Happiness Scientist. And then you can see that there's a quick one paragraph summary in terms of what she does, some of the keynote speeches that she has actually delivered, and at the same time, what is her specialty in terms of like, positive psychology training, so on and so forth. So one look, people are fully aware in terms of what she brings to the table and what kind of services she offer in this space, right? And as mentioned just now, there is area where you can actually put in some pictures, etc., to also showcase a little bit about your brand, right? Beyond just words, which I think most of the time picture tells 1,000 words essentially. So this is a good kind of section for you to really leverage to showcase whatever you want to do. Yeah. Beyond that, I think probably not a recent update, but additionally, you can add in specific skill sets that you have honed or developed or able to demonstrate in a particular position that you're in at a particular company. So this is also a good area where you can just highlight whatever key skill sets you think will be good to showcase to the recruiter or the hiring manager via LinkedIn. Yeah. So I think on this part, since we're talking about work experience, I know some of you may also be thinking, what happens if, let's say, I have a career break, right? How should I actually present that on my LinkedIn? Maybe Michelle, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So career break, I'm seeing a lot of it recently among candidates, right? And COVID, probably caused a bulk of that, right? People decided to rethink their lives after during COVID. So it happens for many reasons, right? People burn out, you feel stuck, right? You're not progressing. Some people take time off to care for their family members, and that's okay, right? It happens. Life is messy, and we know that. Okay. So if you please, by all means, put career break, all right? And I think LinkedIn allows you to put that little icon, right? And just say openly career break, and for family reasons, right? Or for to recharge, and that's okay, right? We went through, everybody went through a horrible pandemic and lockdowns. And that's so. Now, many people then ask me, but what if the company penalizes me that I took a career break? Right? What if the recruiter doesn't call me because I had, I took time off to look after my mom? Now, then I would like you to consider the other side, okay? Do you really want to work for a company that doesn't understand that you have to look after your mom? Right? For me, it will be a red flag. Right? If you imagine this, how they approach people, how will then they treat you when you're employee? Okay, so I'll leave it to you to think, right? And if during the break, right, you learn some things, went traveling, right? That's fine. Do summarize something there if you want, right? About what you learned, right? What you did. If you did some volunteer work, by all means put it there. If you want to write a blog, a little article on LinkedIn, what I did during my career break, right? It's free, it's there, and then pin it on as a featured article, right? And then you can put a little link there to encourage people to show that you weren't just being lazy and hiding under your bed, right? You were doing something useful and fruitful. Okay? And you're resting, and resting is doing something. Okay, so rather than have no info, right? And recruiters hate gaps, right? Time gaps. Because then some of the more paranoid among us would think, oh, this person was in jail, right? Not kidding. Okay, so by all means, put your career break out there. All right. Anything else you'd like to add, Bert?
Yeah, I think I saw, on the chat box as well, there was a question or just a comment, right, from David. It is a common norm, if you're away from work for more than 6 months, as an example, your skill will be considered obsolete, right? And I think that would be a fair point, essentially. But maybe if I may also frame it in this way, there are some skill sets which I believe are, you know, transcending across time, especially when it comes to like certain kind of people skills, soft skills. Let's say you're a great coach, maybe you're someone who is great at leading a team, building a business from scratch. Those are skills that you bring with you throughout, different phases of your career, right? And definitely recruiters or hiring managers can acknowledge that, the experience you've had in your prior years.
Yep.
Even if it's just a 6 months gap or 12-month gap, if let's say you've taken a break, etc., I don't think it will discredit, some of the skill sets and experiences you've built up over time. Of course, I think when it comes to a bit more technical skill sets, where perhaps they might run a bit more obsolete, then I think that also is something that all of us face, right? Not just those who are unemployed, have stopped work for a while, even those who are currently working, they might be doing the same job, just doing this, using the same set of skills over 6 months, 12 months, or even more than that.
Yeah.
They also do face the same challenge as you in terms of really having more relevant skills. And that points us towards the idea of that continuous education and learning journey that all of us have to undertake. And that, of course, that just doesn't apply, does not just apply to those who are, on a career break, etc. Yeah.
Bertrand, that's very true. And if you don't mind, I also share after my maternity, I took 5 years off to look after my children after they were born. I had 3 kids, right? So there's just no way I could work full time. And when I came back to the workforce, I had transferable skill at that point, and I could I could copyright really well, right? And so I went up there and I showed them, I went for all sorts of interviews. I bothered my friends working at PR agencies, right? And I showed the mindset, and I had the skills, and I'm very motivated to come back to work. 3 kids at home. I want to be in the office, right? So yeah. So the skills is one thing, right? Skills, we believe, right? Recruiters and most hiring managers know that skills can be taught. But what's more important is your motivation and your mindset. Okay, so if your mindset is that you're open to learning, you're open to being taught, you're open to feedback, then the skills will come, and we don't mind teaching you, rather than having somebody who's arrogant and who may have the skills but who's arrogant, who disrupt my team. I usually warn my clients not to take such candidates. So don't worry about your skills, David.
Awesome. Okay, so I think I'll move on to the next slide in interest of time. Right, so I think adding on to the part on like your work experience, right? Just like I mentioned about all the different media, pictures, videos, etc. You can put articles that you have posted maybe in the past, so on and so forth. You can also showcase them, right? Let's say, like for example, in this case, you see that this person has posted some articles that maybe he or she has been featured on like news sources, or maybe a particular publication that this person has contributed in. So these are definitely great kind of assets you can also write onto your work experience to showcase whatever you think would be relevant from your professional experience and expertise standpoint. Yeah, so definitely limit them to maybe your top 2 to 5 media pieces that you think would be great to feature. And that's probably more than enough to showcase what you want for each particular position that you have held in the past. Yeah. And of course, including your current one too. Maybe on this part, I will also want to, check with Michelle, what are your thoughts on like how people can actually brand themselves, let's say if they are looking out for leadership positions, how can they actually leverage this section? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you a story of a candidate I had many years ago, right? He showed me his CV, and then I looked at his LinkedIn. I'm like, why so bare? Then okay, Bert, you might be interested to know he was a total rewards consultant with a HR consulting company. So I went to Google him, and my God, right? I found that he had spoken at many prestigious conferences. He was interviewed in a lot of HR magazines, right? And the Straits Times and the Business Times about, compensation, about tying compensation to performance, right? So now I said to him, what's your expected salary? And he said a number. And I told him, no, you should be getting 30 to 40% more than that, right? Because you have thought leadership. You are ready to be more than a regional leader of rewards, right? You are ready to be a global leader because you have gravitas, you have opinions, right? You don't just know how to do the job, but you can interpret the data, right? Come with a stand. So eventually, I didn't manage to place him, unfortunately, but I'm very happy for him that when he found his next job, he got a 33% salary increase. Okay, and I think that's pretty good. So by all means, please do not neglect your portfolio of thought leadership and content. It does help, and it does help us position you for a better salary.
Thanks, Michelle. I think definitely at the end of the day, it's about how much of a value you bring to the table, right? And how can you also convey the message clearly to recruiters and hiring managers at the end of the day. Yeah. So, a picture can really make a difference, right?
Yes.
Maybe in terms of 10% or 20% additional increase in your compensation as well. Yeah. All right. So on to the next one. I think we've covered quite a lot in terms of like various sections of the LinkedIn profile. And beyond this, what's probably not an available option, or maybe not a common section to include in your resume, as opposed to what you can do on LinkedIn, is to actually get testimonials and recommendations in terms of like, how you are as a professional or person. Maybe this could be someone you have worked with in the past. It could be like your previous manager, or maybe even some of your current peers, right? You're working right now together in your company, for example. So I think it'll be a great opportunity to just leverage your network, get them to share a little bit more about who you are, what is their impression of you, and how can that help you in terms of showing up a bit more credibility in your case as a professional. Yeah. So one example of which you can kind of approach this topic, right, is let's say, you have a friend, John, someone you have actually worked closely with on an illustration project. So you can just mention, would you be willing to write a brief LinkedIn recommendation? And then you can just send a link over to your friend or your peer to help you directly input their testimonial or recommendation on your LinkedIn profile. And this will show up on your LinkedIn profile somewhere, I think, at towards the bottom of the entire profile section. And that's really a great opportunity to also allow others to see, right, how you're actually someone who works well with others, have shown great value in terms of like what you have able to deliver, whether it's like a particular service, or maybe you have helped out a certain client, or maybe just a great co-worker who have helped out a lot in a particular project, etc. Yeah, so do remember to leverage this as much as you can. Okay. And yeah, last but not least, some bonus steps, right? Beyond just your LinkedIn profile, I think there's so much more to LinkedIn itself. And I'm sure most of you will be familiar with regards to the news feed that you see on your LinkedIn homepage. And this is where you can also take use of the opportunity to upload certain posts or maybe thought leadership, or like what Michelle has mentioned, right? What can you kind of engage the community of people on LinkedIn on with regards to your area of expertise, or maybe you can comment on other people's posts as well, to kind of engage with others, show that you're someone who is also genuinely interested to network and be part of the conversation, right? As part of the entire LinkedIn community. So over here is just a quick example of Taining, right? Who is also the co-founder of Courage Chapter here, along with Jesslyn. She has been using LinkedIn quite a lot in terms of posting certain articles or posts about what she does at the Courage Chapter, and that's a great way to really engage with a community of like working professionals who might be interested in what she's talking about, and may also want to reach out to her thereafter for an opportunity to work together. Yeah, right. So, of course, beyond just doing up the LinkedIn post itself, I think what's even better is if you can add on like some images, and that's really a great, compelling way to engage with others, especially those who are usually scrolling LinkedIn on their app. Usually, an image is a bit more visually appealing, to attract others to really engage with you on a particular post or article that you are actually publishing. Yeah. So over here, just to quickly highlight on your profile section too, in fact, if you have done some posts in the past or you have published some articles, you can actually kind of pin them into the featured section in your profile. So this may be some of your top few key posts or publications or articles you just want to highlight to really showcase the top things that you want, let's say, others to know on your network, or even like recruiters or hiring managers at the end of the day. Yeah. So this is a great section to really leverage on the featured part of your LinkedIn profile. All right. And last but not least, in terms of networking and connecting with others, right, for opportunities. So just a quick example over here in terms of like the different icons that you see on the LinkedIn landing page. Under My Network, actually, LinkedIn already recommends you certain kind of profiles that you can actually engage and connect with. And this can be through, like, let's say, people within your same company. It could be those within a similar industry, or maybe those who have similar interests or activities that you have been engaging LinkedIn on. Those from your, let's say, your school, your alma mater, etc. Even my location, right, and roles as well. So these are definitely great ways and recommendations on how you can start expanding your network. And of course, all of us have to start from zero somewhere, and you just have to start connecting one by one to really grow and expand your LinkedIn community and network at the end of the day. Yeah. So I think on this part, I do have a quick question as well to Michelle, right? Especially for those who might have received or might be interested to engage with headhunters or recruiters out there. What do you think is like the best way to interact and engage with some of these recruiters and headhunters on LinkedIn?
Okay, great question. So I think two ways, right? One is we post quite regularly. So come and comment on our post. And after a while, send me a private message and say, I've been following your content. It's been, I'm very intrigued by it. Can I would like to connect with you, right? Then after that, wait a while more, then, say, can we have a chat? I'm thinking about pivoting, or you mentioned something about pivoting the other day in your article. Can we get on a call, or can I buy you coffee to talk about this? All right. And what can they do? They can do two things, right? One, they can ignore you, all right, which then you kind of take as a no, or maybe they're very busy at the time, you try again later. or they can say yes. So there's a 50% chance that it can happen, right? The other way is, you know, if we reach out to you and you think that the opportunity that we've asked to you about does not fit your aspirations at the moment, that's okay. Just tell us, okay, and then connect with us, right? Because, well, I'll show you why in a while.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Michelle. And I think before we go into the quick demo, which I think Michelle has slightly alluded to, after, I guess, perhaps maybe you have the chance to network with others, let's say at a physical event, someone you've met at a conference, or maybe someone you've just met at work. What is one way or approach that you can follow up with them in order to connect, right? To make that connection with them on LinkedIn. So these are just some quick examples in terms of like how you can frame your message. And especially for those who you might not be very familiar with, it's always good to share a little bit of context, especially if let's say you have met them at a certain event, you might want to mention that briefly in your personal note as you send them a connection, just to give them a bit of that, background history in terms of like how you have met, or potentially what was the instance that maybe attracted you to want to connect as well, right? So you can briefly mention some of these things as you write down your note to connect with others. Yeah. So I think on this part, I probably won't go too much into the details, but definitely, I think the crux here is to craft a genuine message to others, and it's always best to include a personal note whenever you're connecting with someone, rather than just sending a quick connection without any like description or reason why, especially if you're connecting with strangers you might not know. So that's a good way to actually increase the likelihood of others wanting to connect with you and accept the invite. Yeah.
Okay. All right.